Okay, hello. Now, if you clicked on this video because of the title, you might be wondering what's going on. And to clear up any confusion, no, I'm not being like enslaved or anything, right? I'm still a free person, right? But the reason why I'm saying that today is the last day of my freedom is because, wow, I'm lagging. But it's because today is going to be the last day that I live the way I do, right? And I've done something like this before, right? And it made me think back on it, right? Because I remember back a couple years ago, right? I did this thing where I was thinking to myself, right? I need to become better. I must become better, right? And so in that period of time, I basically just did anything I could to become the best person that I could be, right? And so I think that this YouTube channel really made me realize that I should do something like that again, right? Because if I just spend 30 days, right, and I completely lock in for the new year, right? That's all I need, just 30 days, right? That's all I'm gonna need. And so I think that in those 30 days, I'm gonna learn a lot more about myself. I will still document it on YouTube because I need to stay consistent with growing this channel, but you definitely won't see multiple uploads because I will be extremely busy. Now, I'm going to be busy with a lot of things, right? First of all, school is coming back, but mainly it is going to be the winter arc, right? And I've done something like this before, right? Like this is no surprise to me. And here are my pretty much honest thoughts on starting a winter arc, right? I think that this is probably one of the best things you could do, right? Because let's face it, no one's really paying attention in the winter to you, right? Like, who cares? Like, don't get me wrong, right? Winter's great and all, but I mean, people are gonna socialize more during spring, summer, autumn. Like, winter is a season known for letting go, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I think I searched this up like a month ago, but it's a season that's known for letting go. And I think that letting go this version of myself is important for change, right? Which brings us on to spring, which is the season of new beginnings. So I think that a winter arc symbolizes the death of the old you and starting that new journey to become someone better, right? And you know, I remember my experience a lot because it sucked, right? Like, it was awful. I used to be a pretty big kid. I wouldn't say big kid, but I used to be at least not up to my standards, right? And then I really just locked in for that bit of time, and it was kind of insane because it was kind of insane because when people looked at me, right, people that I didn't see in a while, they said, "Oh, you've changed a lot, I see," right? And then they kept saying on how, "Oh, it must be you maturing, right? You getting older." And I just stood there and smiled because deep down I know that that's not true, right? They don't understand just how much I've been through, right? They don't know what it's like to be forged in suffering, right? Like, they would not understand how it feels. And so I feel like that bit of, I don't want to say ignorance because that seems a bit harsh, but you get the point, right? That sort of not knowing what I've been through kind of just made me realize that no one really pays attention, right? Like, no one cares what happens. They look at me, right? They see that I'm stronger, but that's barely shows anything, right? That's literally like that one iceberg thing, the tip of the iceberg. Because if they really wanted to see how strong I've become, they would look at what I've done to become like this. And that is a huge thing for me. So, with the new, the new year coming up, I think that this is definitely going to be something that I'm going to stick with, because I've seen results before, right? And I think that it's about time where we start again, because there's no better place and time than just doing it as soon as possible. And I guess having it being New Year's makes it a little more fun, because New Year, new me, I know a bunch of people say. But, I think it's going to be an interesting experience, because I definitely want to see how much I'll grow over these couple years. Not over these couple, over these 30 days. I'm sorry, I'm trying to just beat the level, and I fell. But it's a surreal experience, because it sucks, right? It sucks really bad. Like, you will not understand what true pain feels like until you actually decide to actually lock in. And hold on. Okay. And I think that when you do lock in and you realize, right, just how insane it is, you kind of carry this silence with you, right? Almost as an armor, right? You're carrying your silence as like a piece of armor, right? It doesn't really leave you. And that's a pretty huge thing, because no one really cares, right? How much you suffered. They're gonna be like, if you tell someone what you've done, they're gonna be like, oh wow, that's insane, like I could never do that. But they don't care, right? They also don't know what you've been through, so they wouldn't really relate to it. And so I think that that's a pretty big thing to understand, but not as big as, you don't wake up strong, right? You don't just wake up strong like that. That is some misconceptions that I heard, right? You don't just magically like wake up one day and you say, oh, I've become stronger, right? No. You have to forge your own path to become stronger within time, right? And good things take time, people say. Some people say good things come to those who wait. And I think that is a very true statement. I agree with that to pretty much 100%, right? Because I think that time is a really big thing, because you're not going to get something overnight, right? Or maybe even a week, or maybe even in a month, right? But if you just stay consistent, which is also extremely important, then I definitely think that anyone could do this. Anyone can really have that moment where they could be like, wow, look who have I become. Look what I've accomplished. And I'm going to explain it to you in a story, right? A story about my life. And basically, right, a couple years ago, I decided to join a sport, right? Soccer. And I had no idea how to play this sport at all, right? Like, complete beginner. And so the first year I joined, I get put straight on defense as a center back. Now, for those of you who don't know soccer, center back is probably one of the most important defenders, because they are the last defender. And I got put on the JV team, right? My first year playing. So I was like, okay, right? And I was a starter. Like, I did not miss a single game. And so I'm like, okay, wow, maybe I could do this. And so the second year I won MVP, right? And I was like, oh wow, maybe I am good. And I feel like you have to not think that way, because the next year, right, I moved up to varsity, and I learned really quick that I suck, right? Because no matter how good you are, there's always going to be someone better out there to find you. And I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, I want to become like one of these guys, right? And so that year, I started about like maybe 4 or 5 games out of like probably like 10 to 20% of the games, right? Which is pretty awful, right? And I remember one day, my coach went up to me and he said, "Yo, are you ready to get put in?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then the person I was going to get put in for or subbed in for ended up being fine. And so I said, "Am I not going in now?" And then he said, "Go sit down. Your moment is over." And I thought to myself, I was like, what? Like, what did I do wrong? And I learned that if you really want something and you really want to do something, you have to want it, right? And I think that year I kind of walked on the field with more nervousness than I did composure, right? Instead of me saying, "Oh, I know I'm better than them," right? I was like, "Oh, I just have to not mess up," right? I have to make sure that I do my job right. And that kind of created a lot of stress behind the sport, kind of turning it into a game I didn't love. But it didn't matter, because every day I showed up to practice. Every day I tried my best to become better. And in the off season, right, I didn't really do that much, but I still tried my best to get in whenever I could. And the next season, right, comes around, and one of my teammates, go, "Wow, when did you get this good?" And I'm like, "Thank you," right? "I appreciate it, but I don't think I'm that good." And so he was like, "No, seriously, you are really good," right? So I was like, "Okay, thank you, but it just took a little bit of work." And at face value, right, he just sees, "Oh, I've improved, right? I must have put in a good amount of work. I must have at least tried a bit," right? But what he didn't see was the I wouldn't say gruesome, but the long hours that I had to spend at that soccer field, the amount of times I've asked my parents to take me, the amount of like I don't know what it's called, the mental fortitude that I had to have in order to improve myself, right? Because now going in, I'm thinking I'm better than the person in front of me, right? And that gives you confidence to actually perform at the highest level, right? And so when you learn to really devote yourself to something and you learn to have discipline, right, it takes away some of the freedom of things like eating little snacks here and there, right? Or, I'm trying to think, or not going to the gym or whatever, right? But giving up that freedom is extremely important in order to reach success, right? Like I said with the 2 sides of a coin video, which got 0 views, but it's fine, right? There is some level to this, right? If you're gonna do something, there's gonna be an opposite side to it, right? If you want to be a great soccer player, then you have to put in that work. And I'm so bad at this game, but you have to put in that work, right? You have to spend those hours on the field when no one's watching, right? When no one's looking. And something that really stuck with me was I was practicing this one day, and one of the buses came back for the other soccer team, right? And so they kind of just looked at me, right? Because, by the way, it was about 9:30 at night, pitch black, right? You couldn't see a thing. There was the tiniest bit of light off the street parking that you could see on the field, right? And so I'm just kind of practicing, and I hear them talking, and they're talking about how insane I am, right? And this is no surprise to me now because I practice at really awful hours, like 8 or 9 at night. And the one time I was practicing outside from like 5 to 8, and then I remember this actually a lot, right? It comes up a lot whenever I practice alone. But there was this mom, right? And I remember her walking, and she's talking to her kid, right? And she's going, "Hey, look, there's a kid playing soccer out here." And then later on, I hear her going, "Oh, this nut job is still out here practicing soccer." And so it doesn't matter anymore to me, right? I don't care what they call me, as long as it proves results, right? And so, that really made me think, right? Like, why am I doing this, right? This isn't even doing anything for me. Like, I'm not getting any results. Like, why am I even doing this? But fast forward to now, right? Is that impossible? No, it's not. This kid's happy. Anyways, but fast forward to now, right? In just 6 games, I have 10 goals and 9 assists, right? I am the top goal scorer. I'm the top assister on the team. And that really puts into perspective just how much you could change from a very long time, right? I'm not saying that you're gonna see progression right off the bat, because I know I didn't, right? It took about 2 years. Actually, no, it actually took me a year, but it took me around 2 years to really get good at the sport, right? And I think that goes for everything. It takes time to become the best version of yourself, and I think that you just need to lock in and devote yourself. So if you're going to take anything away from this video, it should be that taking away your freedom to devote yourself to something is not a bad thing, right? But just don't lose hope of the fact, and just keep remembering why you're doing it in the first place, because that's really huge. And it's 1 a.m. so I hope you guys have a great day, and I'm gonna go, so bye.